It's Sunday night, and all of a sudden, you realize nobody has even touched that backpack since Friday. You don't even want to because who knows what you're gonna find in there. And then you're gonna have the same conversation that you had last Sunday, the Sunday that, and the Sunday before that. Fortunately, there's a 15-minute routine that ends all of that. I'm gonna walk you through that, and I'm gonna walk you through the one tool that will help to make it stick. My name's Colleen Yanez. I'm an executive functioning coach. I spent 25 years in classrooms, from everything from a language arts teacher to a special ed teacher to an administrator. And now I work with teens and tweens and their families on their executive functions. Last week, I talked about the 3 shifts a parent can make to move a teenager towards independence. And don't get me wrong, this isn't just let them go off on their own. It's really the opposite of that. It is working through these structures, putting things in place, and teaching them the skills all before you let them off on their own. And the skills that I'm referring to, of course, are executive functioning, time management, planning, organization, prioritization, and there's so many more. This week, I want to talk about organization and the one place that you have the most control, and that is your home. And in my opinion, the biggest thing that you can do to make this whole thing work is to make organization visible. When you make organization visible and you teach your teenager to use the system, instead of just giving it to them and hoping they get it right, things go really well. And really that part about teaching them, that's the part that it goes wrong all the time. When we hand a teenager a planner, that's not a system. A calendar that's up and pretty and only one person looks at or writes in, that's not a system either. So in order to get this started, we want to make sure everything is in a place where teenagers can use it. And the system is the one thing they do know how to use, thanks to you teaching them. And it's sitting somewhere that they can see, and they see it often. Now, depending on the level of disorganization of your teen, you might have to do modeling of your thinking out loud, asking leading questions, modeling those instructions, and of course, tracking their successes. We want to always be focusing on that. Here's the thing I want to say before you get started on all this, because it is the reason that most families quit on this in the first few weeks. So think about it like this. For every year your teenager has been on this earth, that is one more year of practice they've had at not being organized. They're 13, that is 13 years of practice. And you're not gonna undo that in one weekend. So please don't expect miracles overnight, but if you're persistent, you're positive, and I really do mean those things, miracles can happen. I've seen it plenty of times. It may not be on your timeline, but it can happen. So let's talk about the first structure. I like to call it the Sunday Shuffle. The Sunday Shuffle is an intentional practice, and your whole family takes it on once a week. 10, 15 minutes, that's all you need, depending on how you run it. And those are the 10 to 15 minutes that can change the entire week. Before you even start, you want to talk to your family about why you're starting this. Don't give them rules, just tell them why. And make a simple agreement. Nothing formal, something easy. Everybody shows up, everybody participates, and we all focus on the positive. Then here's what you do in order. The first thing you're going to do is look back at last week's goals. What happened, what didn't, and honestly, it could start off on the wrong foot, especially if somebody didn't meet their goals. So take the time to turn everything around on the positive. If somebody says they didn't do something, maybe they did that they forgot about. Or maybe they didn't do it perfectly, but they did do something. Acknowledge all of that. So many of us focus on getting everything right and making sure you do everything perfectly. But if they promise to finish 4 missing assignments and they finish 1, maybe think about how they actually spent their time. Maybe something else had come up and getting that 1 assignment done was a big deal. Or maybe they needed help to get started and they didn't want to ask for it, or they were too afraid. There's so many things that could have happened. So ask lots of questions and assume positive intent. That's what I would recommend because it just kicks things off on the right foot. After everybody has reported on their goals, the next thing you want to do is look at what's coming up. Everything unusual that are in the next 7 days. Are there birthday parties? Are there sporting events? Is there something at school? What are the major projects? Then ask if anything's missing. Now, here is where the teenager takes over. If it's not on the calendar, have them add it. The next thing you're going to do is check their planner. Make sure that they're writing in it every day. Whichever system that you all have chosen, just make sure that they're doing it. That is the one system that could really make a positive difference for them, not only today, but going forward. Then check the grade portal. What you're looking for are missing assignments, big things that are coming up, anything that you might see there, and then you're getting on the same page. Next is the backpack. And let the teenager clean it out. You would be amazed at even what the most studious kids are housing in those backpacks, one left to their own devices. And then, of course, the last thing you're going to do is make goals for the next week. And that's not just the teens, that's everybody. Maybe we'll eat dinner together 3 times, or I'll finish 2 missing assignments, or maybe you're going to take a walk after dinner every night. Put those goals somewhere visible, keep them simple, and then high five, hug, whatever you want to do, and you're done. It does not have to take a lot of time, but it really gets everybody on the same page. I was just working with a client who newly implemented the Sunday shuffle, and he said, it wasn't that long, but we got to spend family time together. And with all the things going on, with all of the electronics that take over our brains and our time, I thought that was pretty cool. And that really makes a difference for them and keeps us with our family unit front and center. The next part, and this is the part that really makes the Sunday shuffle come to life, is having a giant calendar. Now, this giant calendar is either just for the one teen that you're supporting or multiple teens. It's not the family calendar where all the doctor's appointments, I'm out of town, family events. That's not where this is. This giant calendar is just teenage stuff. They can color code for their subjects, and if there's multiple teens using it, they can color code for each other. The only thing that goes on this particular calendar are things that pertain to your teenager. So assignments, half days, practice after school, that choir concert. Like I said, color coding is huge, and you can do that by teenager or by subject. And why this giant calendar works is everything I've said is that it's visible. The teenager can see it every day and be reminded about what's coming up without anybody having to tell them. Yes, it takes modeling, it takes patience, and maybe a lot of repetition. But once your teenager is reliably using it, it is another pattern of peace in your home. Listen, I teach a lot of in-home organization strategies, and of everything I've set up with families, these 2 are the ones that do the most work with honestly the least amount of effort. And that is why I'm giving these 2 to you. So that's where I'd start. If you're curious about how organized your teenager actually is, or where they fall on other executive functioning skills that matter in middle and high school in particular, I made a quiz that you can check out. It is linked in the description below. And also, I made a short version of this particular video for your teenager. So if any of this landed, you can send him that one instead of explaining or trying to explain this all at dinner. And that one's linked below too. Next week, we'll talk about the pitfalls of these 2 structures and where they can fall apart. I hope you have a great week.